Welcome to the Deeper Thinking podcast. Today, we navigate the extraordinary hidden in plain sight, the slow, deliberate disclosure of non-human advanced technologies, not through dramatic announcements, but through methodical discussions that defy the spectacle Hollywood taught us to expect. Together, we'll unpack how groundbreaking revelations were presented quietly, almost invisibly, in a way that could reshape everything if only we're paying attention. The Ecosystemic Futures podcast doesn't rush to grab your attention. It's slow, methodical, and unapologetically dry. On July 16th, 2024, it released an episode that at first glance felt like just another deliberate step in its series of measured discussions. NASA's affiliation lent the usual credibility, the tone was steady, and the content was, by all accounts, deeply focused on facts rather than flair. The space economy, they said, is set to triple in the next decade. Delivered in calm, business-like terms, this wasn't a dramatic proclamation, but a careful assessment. Anna Brady-Estevez laid out the premise with precision, describing an interconnected system of investment, education, policy, and technology. It wasn't the kind of rhetoric designed to inspire rapturous applause. It was the foundation of a larger, calculated argument. For nearly an hour, the conversation unfolded with a calculated monotony, as if to ensure every detail was clear. Space is no longer about exploration for its own sake, but a sprawling, practical economy. It wasn't about far-flung dreams, but grounded realities. Satellites improving connectivity, microgravity environments unlocking breakthroughs in medicine and manufacturing. It was the language of reports and strategies, built to land with gravitas rather than excitement. And yet, beneath the steady, almost tedious rhythm, something deeper began to surface. The deliberate pace wasn't a flaw, but a signal. This wasn't just a discussion about the present. It was a slow, deliberate preparation for the implications of something much bigger. NASA's fingerprints were everywhere, serious, scientific, institutional, nothing speculative, nothing rushed. The episode ended much as it began, understated, yet weighty. It asked for attention not with passion, but with the weight of inevitability. The stars might be the destination, but the route, as this podcast demonstrated, will be paved in meticulous, often boring detail. On November 12th, 2024, Ecosystemic Futures released an episode that felt unremarkable at first, a continuation of the series' dry, slow-burn approach. The title, Beyond Paradigms, Ultra-Advanced Technologies, Anomalous Phenomena, and the Future of Innovation, hinted at weighty topics, but the delivery was as steady and deliberate as ever. NASA co-hosted, lending its institutional heft, while Anna Brady-Estevez introduced the session with a calm, practiced cadence. The episode unfolded like a meticulous report, with experts in aerospace, energy, and anomalous phenomena speaking in measured tones. The discussion wasn't flashy, nor did it stray into the speculative. It stayed firmly in the realm of what was publicly available, with panelists encouraging listeners to explore further. Still, it contained one unmistakable shift: acknowledgement. Sensor data confirming non-human craft. Materials exhibiting properties beyond earthly capabilities. These admissions were stated plainly, as if they were just another fact in a long list of technical disclosures. What made this moment striking wasn't the content itself, but the framing. This wasn't a bombshell announcement or a dramatic unveiling. It was a careful insertion into the ongoing narrative of the podcast. Like previous episodes, it grounded the extraordinary in dry professionalism, asking listeners to accept it as part of the larger conversation about technological progress. The tone throughout was meticulous, almost sterile, but within it lay something profound. A tacit invitation to rethink the boundaries of science and innovation. The slow burn of ecosystemic futures continued, quietly redefining what could and should be part of the public discourse. December 10th, 2024. Another quiet release from Ecosystemic Futures, titled Beyond Conventional Physics, Extended Electrodynamics, Lattice Confinement Fusion, Zero-Point Energy and Advanced Propulsion. At a glance, it seemed like the kind of episode that would skim over niche scientific topics with the podcast's characteristic dryness. But what unfolded was something else entirely. Calm, yes, but with an undertone that hinted at the extraordinary. The panel, featuring names like Hal Puthoff and Richard Bandurek, approached their subjects with the same unhurried pace. Discussions of lattice confinement fusion and zero-point energy were detailed, dense with technical language. These were not the kinds of breakthroughs that typically excite a casual listener, nor were they presented in a way that sought to capture immediate intrigue. But woven into the precision and jargon were quiet admissions. They were analysing materials from crashed craft. The phrase was dropped without ceremony, almost too casually. Bandurek followed, describing dispersed, anomalous materials with properties that defied explanation, scattered across the globe. For those seeking deeper context, please go back to previous episodes of the Deeper Thinking podcast featuring Richard Bandurek. The delivery remained clinical, deliberate, and yet its implications were impossible to ignore. This was not theoretical physics or speculative futurism. This was the slow acknowledgement of work already underway, reverse engineering non-human technology. The tone refused drama, sticking to the steady rhythm of data and analysis, but it left no room for doubt. By the episode's end, the puzzle pieces had been laid out, unspoken connections left for the listener to make. The extraordinary was there, embedded in the ordinary structure of a scientific discussion, waiting to be recognised for what it was. December 18th, 2024. The Ecosystemic Futures podcast culminated in what seemed like an ordinary working event, 8 hours of dense presentations titled simply US Space Disruptors Day. Hosted by Shoshin Works, it featured over 50 speakers representing private companies, government agencies, and academic institutions. True to form, the tone was dry, professional, and methodical. But this was no ordinary conference. It was a meticulous showcase of advanced technologies that just years ago would have been considered the stuff of speculative fiction. Richard Bandurek and Hal Puthoff returned, their presentations slotting seamlessly into the day's program. Bandurek spoke with the same calculated reserve, reaffirming his work with materials that demonstrated extraordinary non-terrestrial properties. Puthoff expanded on propulsion technologies derived from reverse engineering these materials, his calm delivery underscoring the staggering implications. The audience was invited to consider the practicality, not the spectacle, of what these innovations meant. These were not abstract musings, they were roadmaps for applied science. The event's pacing mirrored the podcast's ethos, understated yet precise. Presentations touched on semiconductor advancements, zero-point energy, and extended electrodynamics, each building on the quiet revelations of earlier episodes. Everything about the day emphasized progress, systematic, deliberate, and relentless. The 8-hour archive offered no climactic moment, no definitive declaration. Instead, it embodied the slow, steady rhythm of disclosure. Piece by piece, it presented a future that seemed both inevitable and extraordinary, hiding its transformative potential behind the quiet cadence of scientific rigor. Disclosure happened, but not how anyone expected. No flashing lights, no breathless announcement from an American president standing behind a podium. Instead, it came in the form of a dry 2.5-hour roundtable discussion tucked into a mid-November episode of Ecosystemic Futures. No fanfare, no dramatic proclamations, just a calm acknowledgement that non-human advanced technology exists, that we've been studying it, and that it is far beyond anything we can comprehend, hundreds of years ahead to be exact. The delivery was almost disarming in its lack of spectacle. Experts like Hal Puthoff and Richard Bandurek spoke in measured tones about reverse engineering materials from alien spacecraft. They didn't call it alien, of course, not outright. They called it non-terrestrial and anomalous. But the implications were unmistakable. For decades, Hollywood prepared us for something different. A shocking moment, humanity holding its breath as the truth was revealed. Instead, it unfolded quietly, piece by piece, in a podcast that most people didn't even know existed. This is huge news. Civilization-altering, yet hardly anyone noticed. And that, as it turns out, was the point. The revelations were designed to be absorbed slowly, to feel like part of the background hum of modern progress. Conditioning, normalization, whatever you want to call it, it worked. What could have been the most disruptive announcement in human history was instead diffused over years, hidden in plain sight behind the monotony of institutional tone and technical jargon. It's not ours, it's not anyone's, and it's real. Official, slow, and entirely undramatic. The truth is out, and most of the world hasn't even blinked. And so we find ourselves standing at the edge of something profound yet understated, a quiet shift in how humanity perceives its place in the universe. Through the mundane cadence of roundtable discussions, truths emerge that challenge our assumptions and recalibrate our future. In this stillness, we see how the extraordinary has been woven seamlessly into the fabric of the ordinary. Until next time.